Hi, I'm Gabriel Smiley,
And I'm Elaine Smiley.
and this is The Smileys in Zambia. And today we are going to talk about why we specifically chose Lusaka as a place to come.
Because we actually had another offer.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. We made an episode already about just wanting to leave the U.S., but there's millions of places we could have went. And today we're just going to talk a little bit about why we landed here.
Yeah, and I think the reason why we wanted Lusaka more than anything else is I've actually never been to Africa at all. And we thought Lusaka was interesting because I personally have never heard of it. And it was a big city, which is very different from what we were living in on the Hudson Valley. And we actually left Brooklyn, New York, so we can have much more of a calmer, slower lifestyle. But then we wanted to mix it up a little bit. So if we were going to go to Africa, why not check out a big city?
Yeah. And, you know, when you're applying for jobs, you don't just get to pick anywhere in the world you want to go. You can have target regions, but you also have to get job offers. And then you choose among the job offers which ones make sense. So Lusaka wasn't our first choice. We mentioned we really wanted to go to the Caribbean, but that didn't materialize. So
No.
Ultimately, after doing some applications and
There were a few offers, like Gabriel actually even looked in Dakar, right? Was Qatar?
Qatar, there was something in the UK, like preliminary talks. But after doing a lot of fairs and talking to agents and headhunters, ultimately I started applying to a lot of international jobs, had some interviews, and actually got 2 job offers within a few weeks of each other.
Oh my God, it was so wonderful that he felt like, oh, I'm desired internationally, and he was so
It's a good feeling.
It's a great feeling. And at that time, I think it really processed in my brain like we are about to change our life, because either decision we will make, we will be picking up and leaving America.
Right. So the first job offer I got was from the first position I applied to, which was the director of counseling or the university counselor at Lusaka International Community School in Lusaka, Zambia. And we were really, really excited about that offer.
We did a lot of research. We spoke to a lot of people in Peace Corps. I have close friends who traveled throughout Africa, who's actually from Africa, but they live in Canada now. So, shout out to Janet. And more or less kind of just really wanted to understand, is this the right move for us?
So we started going on that process and really thinking about, is this the place for us? We crunched the numbers. We knew the budget would be really tight. And then like 3 weeks after I got the Lusaka job offer, almost at the point where I had to make a decision on the offer, I got another offer from the International School of Brussels in Belgium.
Which is very prestigious, very, very cool. It would have been a totally different world. Again, it wouldn't be America. It would still be different. But we were thinking...
So which one is right for us?
Yeah, Brussels or Zambia. And then I think we can fit in any space, to be honest with you. We live a very diverse lifestyle. We're a diverse family. And we knew that the international school in Brussels will have many people from many different places.
Right.
But we really wanted to see since it was Gabriel's position and I was giving up my job in hopes of finding something new, we really wanted to make sure that he was happy.
And when you have 2 offers, it's kind of like, when you have one, you take it and you're excited about it. But when you have 2, it's like, well, what if the other one was better? Or is this the right one? What are the pros of this? What are the pros of that? So it was a big challenge to really settle down. And I just want to talk about how we came to that decision to come to Lusaka.
Mm-hmm. We actually really thought about what would be the goal. We were living really busy lifestyles, working over 40 hours a week, running to play dates, dealing with school and driving back and forth, and I didn't have a break at all, to be honest with you. I was very busy and kind of like really starting to burn out, and COVID happened, and Gabriel was in a transition state. he was in the process of should he renew a contract at another private school that he was in within Connecticut. And we were just kind of figuring out, like, what's the move?
Right. So we decided that one of the reasons we decided on Lusaka was because of that quality of life, or how far our money would go,
How far the dollar would go.
and what would be our outside of work quality of life in this particular place. Now, the offers were really similar. Brussels' offer was much higher, but it did not include housing, and if you subtracted the housing cost, they were pretty much neck and neck.
Yeah.
And Brussels is also a much more expensive city to live in, to go out to dinner or to buy groceries.
Or even just to have like different types of clubs and activities for the children.
Right.
We really wanted to make sure that we continued the lifestyle that they had and actually really improved on
Right.
all of the features that we couldn't afford.
Right. So neither offer was super lucrative, and we could have made either of them work, but we just figured there would be more flexibility within our budget in Lusaka. So that was one of the reasons.
You hear the
But
birds?
the bigger reason was the chance to leave a Eurocentric society in the U.S. and go to a less Eurocentric, a more
Yeah.
Afrocentric society in Africa. So
yeah, I mean, I would say that, our kids are a mixture of Gabe and I, and so there are kids of color, and we really wanted them to see leadership of color. We wanted them to have teachers, international teachers from all different spaces of life.
which would have been the same in either place. But being in Africa, we were thinking that there would have been, the political leaders are going to be African, right?
Yes.
The doctors that you see are most likely going to be African. This was our thinking going in.
People walking up and down the streets, people that's living in the suburban areas. I mean, everything in Lusaka more or less have walls, but they're big houses and big estates. And we wanted them to know that there are people of color who are living a totally different lifestyle than what
you see in
America
America.
makes people think that
But
it
we weren't
is.
sure they were going to learn that in Brussels, which is a fairly diverse city, but diverse from all over the world. And
We didn't want any forms of racism because they are still kids of
Right.
color, and we're still in a Western society, a Eurocentric Western society. We really wanted to make sure that they just had a different option.
right. So that's really what it came down to. And it was a very difficult choice.
Yeah, because we still want to go to Brussels. I mean, even for vacation, or even possibly for a future opportunity. But I think right now, where our kids were in the States and all the things that they witnessed with the injustice and the Black Lives Matter and just the COVID, we really wanted them to have a mix-up, a change.
Right. And I think Brussels would have been, but Lusaka was the right one for us. So it came down to, leaving that Eurocentric style of living.
Yeah.
Right. It came down to how far our budget will go in each region, and then the final icing on the cake, or the final reason that swayed me, was the attitude towards work, which I would like to do another episode on. But Brussels is ISB, International School of Brussels, is a high-powered institution.
Definitely.
There's a lot of EU families, there's a lot of UN families, and there's really, really high expectations, which is a good thing. But it can be draining to be the counselor in those places. So the role would have had I would have had to master many different curriculum styles, and some kids are doing
And he's
IB.
capable of doing all of those wonderful things. However, I think he was getting a little burnt out
No,
with...
I was looking for a role that was less punitive. I was looking for a role that was more supportive and less of like only outcomes based, and more of like you can get involved and do counseling and counsel younger students.
You wanted to really be a part of the community as well.
Yeah, and I just figured that ISB would be a little bit similar to the independent school scene in the U.S., where it's high-powered parents with very high expectations, and all the pressure is on the counselor to deliver. And that's fine, but I was looking for a break from that. So Lusaka has some of those same, my school here, LICS, Lusaka International Community School, has some of those same features, but ultimately the culture here is a lot more relaxed. It's a lot less demanding on any particular counselor and teacher, and it's a little bit easier.
They still want the best for their children, and the
course.
school is amazing. But I
there's
think
less pressure for
it's
outcomes.
yes, it's less. It's he's not a robot. He
Right.
can actually be a person, and he can actually guide the student in a way where it would benefit the student as well as the parent.
So those were our reasons for going. And looking back, we didn't know what it was going to be like in either place when we were making those reasons because we hadn't lived there yet. But in retrospect, I think we got it right.
I think so
that
too.
our budget is working just fine. This is a beautiful place where there's all these wonderful Black people, African people, and people from all over the world
Yeah.
that are blending together. And our kids are meeting friends that look like them and look differently from them, and they're not really judged based on how they
And
look.
I think because it's a mostly Black society, it's a situation where they feel more comfortable and accepted and not necessarily have to question their space.
Right. Or who they are.
Or
their
who they
identity.
are, like sometimes, the kids will ask questions, and that could be another episode in regards to just being mixed children in Africa.
Right.
But
And we could do an episode on that as well.
I think so, because I think that's a really interesting way of how we have been seen, and also as Americans, how we've been seen.
Right. And but ultimately, I think it worked out. And then finally, the job has been awesome. So I've really loved my job. I don't know what the other job would have been like, but it seems
The
like a great
school is
fit for our
amazing. The
family.
community is great. The parents are amazing. I'm also a part of a parent rep at the school, as well as a part of the PTA. So I really feel like
We're involved. We're really, it's a good fit for our family.
and I think that Lusaka was the better fit in this time in our life.
And
Versus Brussels.
Maybe down the line there'll be another
Yeah.
fit somewhere
Maybe
else.
we'll be
I'd love to
talking-
stay forever.
yeah,
We'll have
he wants
another
to stay
episode
forever.
about that.
Yeah,
But who knows?
we'll see.
So that's it for now. Look out for our next episode soon,
Yep.
and we'll see you later.
Lusaka out.